What's up, guys? Monday night here. A little slow today. Running day. It's pretty nice outside. A little bit chillier than usual, but it was a nice zone 2 running day. It actually went really well. I would say the workout was a mildly frustrating, but pretty well executed, really. So I think I'm just getting picky relative to staying in the heart rate zone on my easy runs. But I think that matters a little bit. But I didn't sleep very well last night, so I'm running a little slow today. Just a couple things that were seemingly a lot on my mind that I could not work through. And it's been a long time. I used to struggle with sleeping pretty significantly. I found a couple tactics that have worked pretty well. Last night just wasn't happening. So I'm thinking right after this video, I'm gonna probably upload this and then go right to bed. I'm traveling later this week and I'm gonna be seeing family and friends and then doing some work in Illinois at the beginning of the week. And I wanna make sure that I get my runs in. Got my run in tonight, even though I slept like absolute garbage last night. And, it's not about making a choice to do it. I just know that I'm going to do it. I got to the point where I'm committed. And if you're not at that point, then I would say start small, maintain and seek consistency first, just every day. Get some movement in. And you can evolve that movement over time to be exactly what you want. But if you just go out and I run 5 miles usually, maybe a little bit different workouts here and there, but mostly just nice 5 easy miles. Sticking in zone 2, which again is just a heart rate zone that leads to not the most challenging workout in the world, but maintaining zone 2 can be a pretty interesting challenge. Anyways, last night I talked a little bit about Stoicism and some of the books that I was reading and some of the thought processes that I was going into. I think I'll share, the most useful things that I take from that and how I apply them into life. One of the things I was thinking, because I want to discuss another book really quickly that I just started, that I find starting off very strong. I read a lot of nonfiction. I actually don't read very much fiction at all anymore. And really the thought behind that, or what interests me the most, is the applicable knowledge that comes from nonfiction. Not to say that nothing could be gained from fiction, and not to say that entertainment is not worthwhile. I think that it is really to each his own there. But really, truthfully, I'm trying to pull out lessons and viewpoints and perspectives that can change my life and help me to improve and help me to achieve the goals that I have. I'm pretty resolute in the aspect of improvement and understanding that I have a very short period of time on this earth. And if I just try to learn by firsthand experience, I will probably end up with a much lesser outcome than I would if I really tried to collect and apply the experience of others in various formats. And books is the easiest way to get that, right? You don't have to talk to anybody. You buy books used off Amazon, usually pretty cheap, so $5-10 you can gain a life-altering piece of information. And so I really utilize that. But this book is Clear Thinking by Shane Parrish. And the part that I would highlight, and something I've been thinking about a lot today, and in general, in conjunction with Stoicism, which talks about, in Stoicism, they talk about, or it is a common theme, that many factors are outside of our control. And what we should focus on, we should turn inward and focus on those things that are definitely, or that are 100% within our control. It's definitely something I have been working on. Now, in Clear Thinking is predominantly about, or seems to be about from the introduction, a book about clear thinking. How do we think a little bit more clearly, or how do we understand the impacts and factors that lead us to not think clearly in the most critical moments? And the initial argument, it seems, is that the everyday moments are where we lose when it comes to clear thinking. Like, we want to hinge it all on the big moments that are there, yet everyday moments and what we experience every day, and sometimes the minor choices that we make and the minor decisions that we make that we probably don't stress and we allow numerous factors to impact them, there really can be the more critical. And what I enjoyed really about what I've read so far is two aspects, the only two I've read, so I'm sure more will come. But the element of emotion on decision making and the element of ego on decision making, and the interpretation of events or perception, if I connect it to Stoicism in the way, or The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday, the other book I shared, right? How we perceive events, and also how we allow our emotions to impact our interpretation and our response of those events, or additionally our ego, can significantly alter the decisions we make and ultimately the actions we take. And it is unlikely, I would argue, that it's going to be the best version of ourselves that comes out when we allow our emotions to dictate our actions, or when we allow our ego to dictate our actions. And a lot of times our perception of events is very jaded, or is through a lens that may not be fair and factual. We're not using accurate data to determine and allow our emotions to lead us down a path of appropriate action. And I've been thinking about this a lot as we interact with other people every day. I lead an organization of 70 people, and in general, you have relationships in your life. I think the aspect of that is, for relationships that truly matter and the ones that you want to have meaning, you have to seek that understanding and not jump to those conclusions. I've written a little bit about this before, and then I'm going to reference yet another book. I counted books. I have 45 books here. I have a problem. I don't even have really a bookshelf. I have a TV stand that is now a bookshelf, but I could solve that problem. I probably can't solve the buying books problem. I'm not sure. In any case, is Crucial Conversations. I think it's a fantastic book. I think that we, like Stoicism, like clear thinking, I think these are lessons that are probably way more applicable than even basic algebra, because it turns out I've found that most people don't know algebra. Now, I'm very strong in math, so I'm not going to judge ex-engineer here, or I'm an engineer, you just don't tell anybody. In Crucial Conversations, the discussion, or a diagram that really lays out kind of how things work, it's called a path to action, right? So event occurs is the first step, and then you feel emotions, you tell yourself a story, and then you act, right? And so those middle bits are where we get into trouble. We allow our emotions and our perspective of past events and jumping to conclusions, so to speak, to color and then dictate the story that we tell ourselves and ultimately the action we take. Where what we should be doing is validating and understanding. Our emotions are fine, let's say that. But we should be understanding and validating the story that exists. The story we tell ourselves is maybe not the true one. And the story that other people see or feel or understand to be true may be different. And by seeking that understanding, seeking that common ground, I think we set ourselves up for establishing clear lines of communication and ultimately improving our connection. It's a lot of words just to say, when you're upset with somebody, try to clear that air. If they matter at all to you, do the work. Countless people every day get upset about the tiniest little things, and at times it's just a perception of events, which just is not accurate. And we need to seek that clarity. I tend to think I'm always right. It's a problem. It's another problem I have. One thing that I'm working on, for sure. In that, I have a very good, well, generally speaking, I have very good emotional intelligence. So I do, and I can understand, and I do understand most of the time where people are coming from. Now, this is biased. I don't understand all the time. And in fact, it's just my interpretation of the understanding. It's much better to actually understand and have a conversation with the person and truly empathize with where they're coming and where they're feeling. This is an area in which I fail regularly because I think I'm right all the time. And because I assume that people think the way that I do, which is faulty as well. And these errors in logic, I think I've identified, and I understand that in order to prevent resentment, which I think is a very caustic emotion, a very caustic feeling to any sort of relationship, you need to seek that understanding. You need to be clear that, especially if you're going down a bad path, I don't want to be on this path. I don't mean to be on this path. The things that I'm saying are not coming out right, and they're definitely not being interpreted right. And I just want to get back. Wave the white flag. Let your ego down and value the relationship over the momentary feelings you might have or the desire to be right. So it's just a couple ideas. As I continue to go through clear thinking and as I continue to practice and study Stoicism, I'll share these ideas and viewpoints, and I hope that at some point you find value in them. I find them valuable. I find recording them valuable, articulating them in this fashion to help me better understand and hopefully apply those lessons. I'll have another point on books tomorrow night, as provided I do not forget. It's very critical to the fact that I have 45, and I think they're all worth it. So anyways, thank you guys. Have a safe night.